There we go.
Liebeck versus McDonald's restaurants, also known as the McDonald's coffee case and the hot coffee lawsuit, was a 1994 product liability lawsuit that became a flashpoint in the debate in the United States over tort reform. A New Mexico civil jury awarded $2.86 million to plantee Stella Liebeck, a 79-year-old woman who suffered third-degree burns in her pelvic region when she accidentally spilled a hot coffee in her lap after purchasing it from a McDonald's restaurant. Liebeck was hospitalised for 8 days while she underwent skin grafting, followed by 2 years of medical treatment.
On February the 27th, 1992, Stella Liebeck, a 79-year-old woman from Albuquerque, New Mexico, ordered a 49-cent cup of coffee from the drive-thru window from the local McDonald's restaurant. Liebeck was in a car owned by her grandson Chris, which did not have cup holders, and as Chris parked the car so she could add the cream to her sugar, add the cream and sugar to her coffee, she then placed the coffee cup between her knees and pulled the far side of the lid towards her to remove it. In the process, she spilled the entire cup of coffee on her lap. Because of the clothing she was wearing, it soaked right through her clothes, burning her bum, groin and her thighs. Liebeck was then taken to hospital where she was told that she suffered third-degree burns on 6% of her skin and lesser burns over 16%. She remained in the hospital for 8 days while she underwent skin grafting. During this period, Liebeck lost 20 pounds, nearly 20% of her body weight, reducing her to only 83 pounds. After the hospital stay, Liebeck needed care for 3 weeks, which was provided by her daughter. She suffered permanent disfigurement after the incident and was partially disabled for 2 years.
For the pre-trial, Liebeck sought to settle with McDonald's for £20,000. This was anticipated by her medical expenses, what currently went up to $10,500. Her future medical expenses was estimated $2,500, and loss of income was approximately $5,000. There's total 18 grand, so it was only about 2 grand shorter of what she was asking McDonald's for. McDonald's offered only $800, a fraction of what they asked. And then once this offer was rejected, her lawyer filed in this lawsuit in this New Mexico District Court. They went through processes of mitigation and mediators and settlements, etc. And they believed the coffee was unreasonably dangerous, so they asked for a settlement of $90,000. McDonald's again declined, and this raised to $300,000. The mediator at that time suggested $225,000 just before the trial, but then again McDonald's refused, and the trial went to court.
The trial itself took place from August the 8th to August the 17th of 1994. During the case, Liebeck's attorneys discovered that McDonald's required all of their stores to hold their coffee at 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. A coffee at this temperature would cause a third-degree burn in 2 to 7 seconds. Liebeck's attorneys argued that coffee should be served at no hotter than 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and that other similar stores of this nature serve their coffee substantially lower than McDonald's do. The lawyers presented evidence that coffee served at 100 degrees Fahrenheit can cause third-degree burns, which will make skin grafting necessary in about 12 to 15 seconds. Lowering this temperature by just 10 degrees Fahrenheit would increase the time for coffee to produce a burn of this severity by 20 seconds, allowing people affected by this to remove the liquid from their skin in enough time to stop the burns. McDonald's claimed the reason for serving coffee this hot is so that customers going through the drive-thru can have their beverage hot for the entirety of their journey. However, the company's own research showed that customers intend to consume the coffee immediately while driving.
Other documents obtained by McDonald's show that from 1982 to 1992 there are over 700 reports of people being burned by McDonald's coffee. Furthermore, McDonald's settled claims of summing more than 500,000 US dollars. Now, in the trial, Christopher Appleton, a member of McDonald's, he argued all foods and hotter than 130 Fahrenheit or 54 degrees considered a burn hazard, and that, but through this, being McDonald's a fast food chain and serving hot food, that there were more pressing matters to worry about than hot coffee, like hot food, other hot beverages. So that even though he did agree that the coffee would burn the mouth and throat if consumed at the time of purchase.
On August the 18th, 1994, a 12-person jury reached its verdict. Applying the principles of comparative negligence, the jury found that McDonald's was 80% responsible for the incident and Liebeck was only 20% at fault. Though there was a warning on the coffee cup, the jury decided that the warning was neither large enough nor sufficient. They awarded Liebeck $200,000 US in compensatory damages, which was then reduced by 20% to $160,000. In addition, they awarded her $2.7 million in punitive damages. The jurors apparently arrived at this figure from Morgan's suggestion to penalise McDonald's for 1 or 2 days worth of coffee revenues, which worked out around $1.35 million per day. The judge reduced punitive damages to $480,000, 3 times the compensatory amount, for a total of $640,000. The decision was appealed by both McDonald's and Liebeck in December 1994, but the parties settled out of court for an undisclosed amount less than $600,000.
The impact. I believe the impact of this is a sort of a classic example of frivolous litigation, where a sort of money for nothing. It's just developed money for nothing culture in the United States that actually can sue someone for sort of nothing at all and get lots of money from it.
That's a good point. If you did see the images that emerged after this incident, you can clearly see that the burns obtained by the plaintiff were substantial, and therefore this case was justified.
Yeah. However, even though I agree with you there that the court trial was very much justified, the media at the time, if you've seen the news, the NBC News, they're doing it as actually the woman spilt a coffee cup on herself and getting awarded all this money. The whole media at the time portrayed this money for nothing. As this picture here shows that actually there's a spilled hot coffee and with millions. Play your lawsuit lotto. And actually, the whole sort of, even though it was justified, the whole media at the time just transformed it into this classic example of frivolous litigation and just brought the whole America to what it is now, suing for nothing. He agrees with that.
Some similar lawsuits would include the McMahon v. Bun-Matic Corporation, 1998. 7th Circuit Court of Appeals Judge Frank Easterbrook wrote a unanimous opinion affirming dismissal of a similar lawsuit against coffee maker manufacturer Bun-Matic, finding that 179 degrees hot coffee was not unreasonably dangerous. Another case would be Bogle v. McDonald's restaurants in 2002. A similar lawsuit in England failed when the court rejected the claim that McDonald's could have avoided injury by serving coffee at a lower temperature. Since then, Liebeck, major vendors of coffee including Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, Burger King, hospitals and McDonald's have been defendants in similar lawsuits over coffee-related burns.
Yeah, this sort of highlights my point that actually, even though this is serious, it's just caused a whole heap of other sort of legal challenges just because the coffee is too hot. And it just sort of it was almost sort of opening the door for excessive litigation, excessive amounts of people, oh, it's too hot, I'm going to sue.
Definitely, but what do you think about the actual point that these establishments should lower the temperature of their coffee, because that is a way that they could avoid these lawsuits?
Yeah, well, the National Coffee Association said that the temperature of McDonald's coffee conformed to industry standards of the time. However, actually, it was completely unscientific. It just set a benchmark. What mark was between 157 and 182 degrees Fahrenheit. So, McDonald's coffee was in that that sort of point there. What is industry standard? However, the whole sort of industry standard is built on someone's guesstimate rather than scientifically proven. Furthermore, since Liebeck, McDonald's have brought it down and relying on haven't brought it down instead of relying on sternly worded messaging on cups. This tried to avoid liability, and although it has not achieved this, there's been more coffee suings, there's been more allegations against McDonald's. It has substantially reduced the payouts because it's clearly there. Almost similarly, in 2004, Starbucks sold coffee at 175 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit. And the executive director of Specialty Coffee Association of America reported standard serving temperature of 160 to 185. So even when the industry standards went below, they maintained it high enough, a lot more higher, but again, sort of had lower payouts because they had those stern warnings.
That's a good point.
I think that's it. Tom, I think that's fine.
We'll ask Steve.